You know what's funny? I just spent last week with a client working through something I see come up again and again in hardware software companies. And it's been sitting with me since. They've got this platform team, software that sits underneath several hardware products and enables using these products. And the team has one product owner is essentially getting pulled in five different directions. Each of the platform products or the hardware products is thinking that their roadmap is the priority and nobody has the authority to actually sort it out. For sure, not this product owner. So everything escalates. Leadership gets getting dragged into prioritization conversations they shouldn't need to be in, which slow everything down. And the platform team just, hops from one request to the next and most of the time try to context switch too many of these things at the same time because they struggle to say no. Hi, everybody. I'm Yuval. Welcome to Scaling with Agility. The situation is worth unpacking because if it sounds familiar, there's usually a pretty clear reason that it's happening. Here's the dynamic I often see that creates this. When a product is platform facing, when it serves internal customers rather than going directly to market, organizations often treat it as a technical concern rather than a product concern. It doesn't get real product leadership. It gets somebody on the engineering side who's maybe assigned a product owner role because nobody on the product management side is interested in it. And the engineering person is expected to figure it out. But figuring it out means making some tough calls. Which hardware product gets prioritized this quarter? The next month? Which roadmap commitment do we need to push back on? What are we not going to do? And those are business decisions. They're not technical decisions. Somebody without organizational standing, without proximity to the strategy, without a seat at the table where the prioritization of the hardware products gets discussed, that person can't make decisions that stick, even if they're making the right call technically. So what happens instead is a lot of informal escalation, a lot of power dynamics playing out in the background. This engineering oriented product owner or technical product owner ends up collecting requests, trying to sequence them reasonably, getting overruled and escalating, and the cycle repeats. The platform team ends up functioning more like a shared service, taking requests from whoever has the most urgency or the loudest, rather than a team with a real product direction. A useful question to think about is, if this platform team stopped shipping tomorrow, what would happen to the hardware products? If this platform team doesn't ship the feature that a specific hardware product need, what would happen? What would be the cost of that delay? The answer is that most of these hardware products would really be in trouble. That the platform is genuinely central to the ability to deliver value to customers. And it's one of the more strategically important things in your portfolio. It just doesn't look like it because it doesn't have a price tag directly attached to it. It's not a direct P&L. Strategic things tend to need real product ownership. Not just someone to manage the backlog, but someone with the standing to make trade-offs when five stakeholders all say they're the priority. One pattern that I have seen work well is to connect the platform more directly to the product leader who's responsible for the hardware portfolio as a whole. Not necessarily to take on all the day-to-day product ownership work. The team should handle a lot of that, but to own the roadmap direction, to be the real owner of this product, to be the person who makes the tough calls when internal customers are in conflict. It's typically the person that really makes these calls eventually that should actually be the owner. The thing is that in most organizations, that senior leader, even though they're already making these calls informally, they don't think it's their role to be the owner for this team. Making it more explicit, in my experience at least, doesn't add much work for that leader. It just removes a lot of the ambiguity for everybody else. The team knows who owns the direction. The internal customers know who to bring their priorities to. And that product owner will not be stuck in an impossible position of being accountable for decisions they don't have the standing to make, because they actually have the responsibility and the standing that fits the accountability that they have. And that's a meaningful shift from a team that manages requests to a team that has genuine product direction. One example that I've seen in the past is where the CTO was actually the owner of such a platform because it was so strategic for the organization. And that works as well. It's not necessarily somebody from the product organization, but it should be somebody that has the standing to make real prioritization decisions. What tends not to work is to leave things ambiguous. A platform team that's technically owned by engineering is strategically important to every product line, but no one clearly accountable for its direction, no directly responsible individual for its direction that has the say to actually do something about it. That's a setup for ongoing friction. Not because these people aren't capable, but because the structure, the ecosystem doesn't give them the standing to actually steer. So the question worth asking yourself is, look at your organization. Who actually has the standing to say no on behalf of your platform or to shape its real direction? Not who's supposed to in theory, who actually can in practice when two internal customers, two products that depend on it, are both saying they're the priority, and in parallel, you want to drive a product strategy on the longer horizon. If the honest answer is unclear, that's usually where the escalations are coming from. If the honest answer is that it's the CTO or the CPO or the CIO, then maybe there's something there. So if you're working through something like this, I'd be happy to hear how you're thinking about it. What are your considerations? How have you tried to solve it? Has it worked? Let me know. Next episode, we'll go back to the basics. One product, one team, and why even that setup can create more confusion that you'd expect, especially in organizations that do have a complex hardware, software product and product management organization that is struggling to both be outbound facing and inbound facing. I'm Yuval. See you soon.